Happy day students, welcome to San Academy Pallikaranai. This is class 8 History, chapter 9, The Making of the National Movement 1870s to 1947. Topics to be covered today: the emergence of nationalism, the growth of mass nationalism, the march to Dundee, the Quit India movement, and later the emergence of nationalism. Among the people of India, there was a crucial question: what is this country of India and for whom is it meant? The answer that gradually emerged was: India was the people of India. All the people, irrespective of class, color, caste, creed, language, or gender, and the country, its resources and systems were meant for all of them. It created a sense of patriotic feeling and to formulate the principles and policy of national independence. Various political associations. This consciousness of oneness began to be clearly stated by the political associations formed after 1850, especially those that came into being in the 1870s and 1880s. Most of these were led by English educated professionals such as lawyers. The more important ones were the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, the Indian Association, the Madras Mahajan Sabha, the Bombay Presidency Association, and of course the Indian National Congress. The two acts of British. The dissatisfaction with British rule intensified in the 1870s and 1880s. The Arms Act was passed in 1878, disallowing Indians from possessing arms. In the same year, the Vernacular Press Act was also enacted in an effort to silence those who were critical of the government. The Act allowed the government to confiscate the assets of newspapers, including their printing presses, if the newspapers published anything that was found objectionable. In 1883, there was an attempt by the government to introduce the Ilbert Bill. According to the bill, it provided for the trial of British or European persons by Indians and sought equality between British and Indian judges in the country. A nation in the making. The Indian National Congress was established when 72 delegates from all over the country met at Bombay in December 1885. The early leaders were Dadabhai Nauroji, Perosha Mehta, Badruddin Tayabji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Romesh Chandra S. Subramanya Iyer, and among others, was largely from Bombay and Calcutta. A retired British official, A.O. Hume, also played an important role in bringing Indians from the various regions together. Initially, the Congress was moderate in its objectives and methods. Freedom is a birthright by radicals. By the 1890s, many Indians began to raise questions about the political style of the Congress. In Bengal, Maharashtra and Punjab, leaders such as Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Lala Lajpat Rai were beginning to explore more radical objectives and methods. They criticized the moderates for their politics of prayers and emphasized the importance of self-reliance and constructive work. They argued that people must rely on their own strength, not on the good intentions of the government. People must fight for Swaraj. Tilak raised the slogan, "Freedom is my birthright and I shall have it." Now let us see about the partition of Bengal. In the year 1905, Viceroy Curzon partitioned Bengal. At that time, Bengal was the biggest province of British India and included places of Bihar and parts of Orissa. The British argued for dividing Bengal for reasons of administrative convenience. But clearly, it was closely tied to the interest of British officials and businessmen. Even so, instead of removing the non-Bengali areas from the province, the government separated East Bengal and merged it with Assam. Perhaps the main British motives were to curtail the influence of Bengali politicians and to split the Bengali people, and finally to divide Hindus and Muslims. Now let us see about the result of the partition. The partition of Bengal infuriated people all over India. All sections of the Congress, both the moderates and the radicals, opposed it. Large public meetings and demonstrations were organized and novel methods of mass protest developed. The struggle that unfolded came to be known as the Swadeshi Movement in Bengal, but it echoed elsewhere too. For instance, in Andhra, it was known as the Vande Mataram movement. Muslim League was formed and its demand. In 1906, All India Muslim League was formed by Muslim landlords and Nawabs at Dhaka. The League supported the partition of Bengal. It desired separate electorates for Muslims, a demand conceded by the government in 1909. Some seats in the councils were now reserved for Muslims who would be elected by Muslim voters. The Congress split in 1907. The moderates were opposed to the use of boycott. They felt that it involved the use of force. After the split, the Congress came to be dominated by the moderates, with Tilak's followers functioning from outside. Anyhow, the two groups reunited in December 1915. Next year, both the Congress and the Muslim League signed the historic Lucknow Pact and decided to work together for representative government in India. The growth of mass nationalism. After 1919, the struggle against British rule gradually became a mass movement involving peasants, tribals, students and women in large numbers, and occasionally factory workers as well. The reason is the First World War altered the economic and political situation in India. It led to a huge rise in the defense expenditure of the Government of India. The government in turn increased taxes on individual incomes and business profits. Increased military expenditure and the demands for war supplies led to a sharp rise in prices, which created great difficulties for the common people. But on the other hand, business groups reaped fabulous profits from the war. The war created a demand for industrial goods such as jute bags, cloth, and rails, and caused a decline of imports from other countries into India.